All right, so I'm keenly aware that this is a pretty nerdy video idea, like Pipe Dream, 3 levels down into Inception, Dungeons and Dragons, Dreamworld kind of stuff. But there's a pretty good constructive purpose for doing that, and that's namely as a tactics firearms dude. I'm a trainer. That's what I do for a living. I typically see people focusing on one kind of vein of how they go about training, but they fail to really understand all the different skill sets that can make different people dangerous, and therefore they don't really understand all their vulnerabilities. So when you discover the folks that make you the most nervous, like out of all these dudes, who would you least want hunting you? It ends up at the same time showing you some of your more greater vulnerabilities and understand maybe, hey, you want to grow into some of those skills rather than just constantly doing the same thing on the gun range all the time. There's lots of cool skills out there, so grow into those. So here's the big question. Out of the following, who would you least want hunting you? The master martial artist. Think Liam Neeson, Taken. Number 2, the special operations guy. We'll take Mark Wahlberg and his funky bunch hunting you in their ghillie suits. 3, super spy James Bond. 4, computer hacker extraordinaire. Number 5, think competitive shooter like John Wick. Somebody who doesn't really have much of a plan. They're just going to shoot really fast and accurate. Number 6, the Kingpin. This could be like an Al Capone figure all the way up to Vladimir Putin. Now, before we really jump in, recognize that this is really an impossible question because context drives everything. Whatever fantasy you come up with tilts the odds in favor of someone else. So if you're in a rural environment, you're in the woods or the desert, immediately you may look at the special ops guy and be like, dude, don't let that guy hunt me. Because you're right, it'll kill you immediately. Or if you're in an urban setting and maybe your whereabouts are unknown, the spy or the hacker is a really big deal, or even the kingpin or the spy. So it tilts the favors in different places. If you're in a closed lock cell room, none of the other people are really that important. It's just the master martial artist kung fu champion is going to absolutely decimate you. That's the one you don't want to be in a room with. So your context is going to change everything, right? So let's jump in without further ado, and don't take this too seriously because it's a fun little mental exercise that's going to have limited value and it's going to be fun. All right, the first option for the person hunting you to the death is the master martial artist. This is Bruce Lee. This is Liam Neeson in the movie Taken because he's awesome. This is a guy that if he gets inside your reactionary gap, if they get close to you, even if you have a weapon, your likelihood of being able to defend yourself and overcome them is greatly diminished. If they get close to you, you're done, right? The advantage is if you see them coming and you can maintain a reactionary gap, because of the use of weapons or tactics, strategy kind of stuff, or even evasion, that person's a fish out of water. They really have to go hands-on and get close enough to you. So if you can keep them from doing that, not too dangerous. If they can get close to you, very dangerous. You are unlikely to survive. All right, next is the special operations guy, and since that's my old background, I can speak with more authority on this one. I can't tell you anything about Kingpin, and I really suck at all the spycraft stuff, so I'll just give it a fun go anyway. Special operations guy is going to be a real good fighter, master of all kinds of weapon systems, understand basic strategy, be a master tactician. They can gather their own intelligence through reconnaissance, and they're usually patient, hard to kill, hard to find. Typically, they shine the best in kind of a warfighting environment where they have a support network that's feeding them intelligence. So they're typically not gathering that on their own, and they're part of a larger team, which their tactics play into. So if you have this solo dude operating in more of a civilian environment, it can be a little bit more like a fish out of water. So depending on the context, this is a nightmarish person to have hunting you, or it could not be nearly as bad. If they don't know where you are or who you are, maybe laying low and being smart, you'll never be found. But who knows? It's a bad hunter for sure. Next one is the spy, the James Bond one. This is the one that freaks me out the most. Their strengths is they can hide in plain sight, gather their own intelligence. It's clandestine type war. They can exist with a support network giving them intelligence or gather their own intelligence. The problem with these folks is if they choose to target you, oftentimes you'll never see them coming. You don't get to draw and shoot back. They may just poison you and you die and you never even had a target. That sucks. These folks are certainly not the most dangerous on a battlefield like your ops guy may be. They may not be the best hand-to-hand. They may not be the best shots, but it's the secret clandestine warfare that they're engaging in that makes them particularly spooky. All right, the next is an angry and intelligent computer hacker. This person can destroy you from across the world in nearly complete anonymity. They can cause wrecks, burn down buildings, cause explosions, destroy your reputation, get you arrested and thrown in jail for life, or come up with all kinds of creative ways that they can kill you. Their weaknesses are pretty obvious. They're not winning any championships in the UFC, and they're certainly not kicking down doors, clearing rooms. Needless to say, this is someone you do not want hunting you. They will find you, and you are unlikely to find them. Scary people. All right, the next one's the competitive shooter, and I want you to think John Wick. It's not about making a good plan. It's just, hey, let's bust in and shoot real fast and real accurate. By the way, I love those movies. In some crazy context where all the different predators were sitting at a table and a shot timer went off, the competitive shooter is going to be a shoo-in for killing everybody unless the spy kind of Han Solos him. The competition shooter is a dangerous man. Outside of that, the competition shooter having to develop any type of intelligence on their own, strategy, tactics, can be a real fish out of water. So they really need to know where you are, who you are, and then they are going to shoot you. You may shoot them too, because competitive shooters usually have a bad habit of over-penetrating onto a battlefield, but they will shoot you first and a lot. They are dangerous people. All right, the last one is the Kingpin, and they're particularly dangerous because they're vicious and they don't have any moral boundaries, possibly using your family as leverage against you or holding hostages. Perhaps they wouldn't care. On the other side of the spy, they'll also be well versed in clandestine operations, knowing how to disappear and how to make other people disappear as well, while they recruit a network of nefarious criminals to their mastermind intent. There's your Al Capone kind of person right there. For my part, I'll go ahead and say the ones that give me the biggest heebie-jeebies are the computer hacker and the spy. I'd like to hear what you guys think. Who would you least want hunting you? And based on that knowledge, are you going to do anything differently in how you prepare and train yourself to keep yourself and your family safe? Sound off below in the comments. Make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe. It's just good manners. And by the way, I may or may not have angry computer hackers watching you this very second to see if you subscribe. So don't tick them off. Do the right thing. Go ahead and subscribe. Guys, train hard, train smart, and I'll see you next time. Peace.